Hello, everybody. Fiona Lukey's here, coming to you live like I do every Friday at approximately this time. Sorry, I was just chatting to a client earlier. I'm a little bit late today, but here I am coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. For those of you who aren't sure where I am, I had someone asking me last week, where are you, Fiona? I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and it is winter here. I know for many of you overseas, it's warm and sunny, and you're in the middle of summer. So I hope you're having an awesome summer. So for those of you who, if you're just tuning in, I really just want to wish you a very warm welcome. And, if you want to say hi, feel free to do so. Jump in and say hi. I'd love to hear where you are in the world and where you're listening from. So now I know when I'm going live, I'm answering questions. So, if you have a question that you would like me to answer, feel free to post it in the comments below and I will do my absolute best to answer it. And if you are just joining in live, and I can see a few people are just joining now, like I said, feel free to say hi and let me know where you are. Hi, Beck. Hi. Thanks for saying hi. Nice to see you. Appreciate that. Hi, amazing lady. You're very kind. You're very, very kind. Hi, back. Thank you so much, honey. Thank you. Anyone else out there who's just tuning in now and want to let me know where you are in the world? I would love to know who's out there and who's listening and where you are. And in the meantime, I will... hi, Roz. Nice to see you. Fantastic. Okay, now let me just find some of the questions that I've been sent in today. Okay, looking what else I've got here question-wise. If you have a question that you want to ask me, feel free to post it in the comments below. Hi, Gino. Nice to see you. Thanks for saying hi. Hi, Susan. Greetings from sunny, hot Florida. I bet it's beautiful and warm in sunny, hot Florida. You lucky, lucky thing. Hello, Leonie, Central Queensland. Okay, hi. Nice to see you, Leonie. Thanks for jumping on. And anyone else out there who's just tuning in now, feel free to say hi. So, I think one of the things I want to talk about, as I do every week when I'm doing these lives, I kind of find that there's a theme that shows up in my work over the week, and it always does. There's always some sort of a theme that has shown up with either with my private client work or with the students in my relatable program. And this week it's been quite interesting because I have seen a real theme showing up right across the board. And I think for many of us, that theme is something it's one of those things that you can easily miss. And when, as you all know, when it comes to change, when it comes to any form of long-term sustainable change, the most important part of any type of long-term sustainable change is having awareness, right? Without awareness, you have nothing. Awareness is what enables you to see what's going on, which then invariably gives you choice. Okay, so without awareness, we cannot choose something else. And so awareness is very, very, very important. But I think for where things are different in the work that I do compared to other things is that most kind of things that you look at or learn are pointing to awareness of you, right? Of self. And really what I'm focused on is the awareness of human beings, how human beings work, so that we can see the sameness, the inherent sameness in amongst all of us. Because when you see the sameness, you're able to bring a far greater sense of understanding than when you're looking at the differences and the separateness. And when we tend to focus on self, that's where we end up. We end up in a place of separateness where we are looking at and noticing where we are compared to everybody else, how you're doing compared to the people around you, how different someone else is to you. And from that place, we are most likely to come from judgment. We are most likely to be very rigid in our reality. We are most likely to come from a very busy, sped up mind. We are not able to listen very well. We tend to impose our reality on the people around us, and we really struggle to connect. Versus when, and I see this each and every day without fail, when we see this sameness, the inherent sameness between ourselves and the people around us, this is exactly what happens. And it's across the board. Okay. We bring a lot more understanding to the table, and we do so naturally. Okay. Sorry, my phone is ringing. I'm just going to turn that off. We do so naturally. We bring a lot more understanding to the table. We are able to, we're more expansive in our viewpoint. So instead of just seeing things from our point of view, we're able to see things from a much wider viewpoint. And when you're able to see things from there, your understanding, your level of awareness, your emotional intelligence, your ability to stay calm, curious, your ability to be open, and rather than coming from your ego, which wants to hide and prove and protect itself, you're able to be a lot more real, honest, vulnerable. You'll find it easier basically to choose love over fear. Okay. When we are looking at self, we get very, very, very self-conscious. We overthink all of our words and actions, and we worry about what other people think about us. We feel very separate. And so we don't have access to the things that I was just talking to you about. And so it's amazing when people have an understanding of the way human beings work, and they're looking at things from the perspective of our shared humanness. There is so much more calm across the board. We do not do well when we feel separate. We don't. We don't thrive. We struggle mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. When we see the connectedness, people thrive. People are relaxed. People put down a massive mental load. They are far more calmer, present. They've got a stronger sense of self, and they're able to. They find it easier to make choices that are honoring of who they are. Okay, rather than what they think they should be doing. And they spend less time justifying themselves. And so they're able to move forward from a place of clarity and conviction. These are all these things that I'm talking about, being able to, having a strong sense of self, being able to move forward with clarity and conviction, not feeling like you need to justify yourself, choosing love and knowing the difference between when you are choosing love over fear, having a clearer mind. When people are operating from that space, we do exceptionally well. We thrive as individuals. We really do. We thrive. And we thrive even if life is not going our way. We thrive. Now, a person who is thriving, you can imagine the difference in the way they are and how they show up to everyday moments, to relationships, to problems, to uncertainty, okay, to whatever gets thrown their way, because there's always something coming our way. Life is always throwing curveballs, always. Okay, as we say, it's just the game of life. It's the nature of life. There's always curveballs, and so our ability to handle those things goes through the roof. Instead of the feeling, which I know so many feel, of feeling like you're being hammered into the ground, you are being pummeled, where it feels like you're trawling through mud. You're tired, you're exhausted, you're overthinking everything. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. It doesn't matter what you do, you can't seem to get it right. It doesn't matter how hard you try, especially in your relationships. It feels like the other person is judging and attacking you and you're getting it wrong and you can't work it out. Okay? This is so common. So this is the space so many people come to me in. And if you're in that space, I want you to know how normal and common it is. But I also want you to know there is something else on offer, something else completely different available to you. All right? There really, really is something else completely different available to you. Now, when you see that, when you know that, when you operate from that space, your entire life changes. And it's not because you have changed. You still get to be you, but you have a completely different relationship with your thinking, right? People do not understand your relationship with your thinking is the most important relationship in your life, because it determines everything. Everything you do, everything you feel, every decision you make comes from that relationship. And most of us, okay, and I say this with love, are far too married to our thinking, okay? Far too married to our thinking. It's a whole different way to relate to thought, to relate to your thinking. You do not, nor should you be believing every word that you say. Now, this isn't about changing your thinking. You can't do that. All right. Biggest misnomer out there is that you can change your thinking. You cannot change your thinking. All right. So don't even try to do that. But you can have a very different relationship with it. And through the different relationship in your thinking, you put down mental load. You put down loads that no longer serve you, that don't make sense anymore, that are not required. That is far, far easier than trying to change your thinking. I often say to people, trying to change your thinking is like trying to change the wind. Exhausting and impossible. Okay. And when it comes to long-term change, right, what you're looking for is insight. What you're looking for is fresh thought. Now, this is a gift that is available to all of us. And it is incredibly powerful in our relationships, like unbelievably powerful, way more powerful than people understand and realize. Now, this is something that all human beings have access to. Everyone on the planet, without exception, irrespective of your past, irrespective of your childhood, irrespective of how you were brought up, whether you had great parents or didn't have great parents, doesn't matter. This is the beauty of it. None of that matters with what is possible for you when you start understanding this stuff. Because all of a sudden, how you relate to your moment of now, and life is nothing more than moments of now, completely changes. And it does so easily and naturally. Because you are no longer fighting your experience, you're moving through it with more ease, grace, and humility. And those three things, ease, grace, and humility, feel amazing. And we sure as heck need more of that in the world. Okay? Truly feels amazing. Greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So grateful. So, oh, hello. There's a few people saying hi. Kim Valance. Hello, Kim. Oh, my goodness. Hi, honey. I haven't seen or heard from you for so long. So nice to see you. Thank you so much for saying hi. That's so lovely. I really appreciate it. Hi, Anne. Thank you so much for saying hi. Hi. Anyone else out there who's listening and wants to say hi, feel free to post below and say hi. Always love to hear where you're from and who's listening. So the theme that has come up a lot in my client work today, and as I said, in the students in my online program, Relatable, the theme that has come up a lot this week is judgment. Okay? This has been a really big theme that has come up. And I think what is really, really interesting is that we don't realize we are judging when we are. It's one of our biggest blind spots. And I'm going to say something that's really quite controversial. Okay? Some of you are not going to agree with what I'm about to say. And possibly if someone had said this to me a number of years ago, I wouldn't have agreed with them either. So if you don't agree with me, I don't blame you. Okay? But I'm telling you, this is something that's really, really important. There is never, ever, 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 ever a justification for judgment. Ever. Okay? And I want to say that again. There is never, ever, 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 ever a justification for judgment. Now, I'm not telling you what to do here. I'm not saying what you should or shouldn't do. But I just want you to know that one. Okay? We are so quick to judge. We are so quick to say, that's wrong, I'm right. We are so quick to look at somebody else and decide that their reality is not as good as ours. We are so quick to decide that what someone is saying is not worth our time because we don't agree with it. We are so quick to do that. Now, one of the things I want you to understand, and I'm going to put my hand up because that was me. Reactionary, judgmental, self-righteous. That was me. Okay, totally 100% me. And and I'd done all this personal development work. I'd done all of these courses. I think I definitely had what you would call personal development arrogance. Absolutely. I had a big personal development arrogance hangover, if I'm being completely honest, right? And I do see that in people who've done a lot of stuff, right? We unwittingly, and I'm going to say innocently, develop a bit of a belief that, we've worked on ourselves, we've done this stuff, we kind of know it, right? And I definitely had that going on. And it wasn't pretty and it wasn't attractive. And it did not help me in my relationships at all, right? And I laugh and because I think it's quite hilarious. I look back at myself now and go, oh my God, Fiona, you were so clueless. But anyway, I love the fact that I can, but I'm grateful for the fact that I can see that now. I definitely had personal development arrogance. And, this understanding that I discovered, I guess it's around 8 years ago or so now, has completely changed all of that for me. Whatever I thought I knew, I've unlearnt. It's turned everything that I knew on its head. And I like to think I'm a lot more humble. Definitely got work to do on that. Okay. Definitely a work in progress in that area, but I'm a lot more playful. I hold myself lightly, and I know how to get over myself. See, when you've got a lot of arrogance going on, you struggle to get over yourself. And what happens when you can't get over yourself is you bring judgment. And you can't see it because it looks justified to you. All right. There is nothing trickier and more insidious than justified judgment. Okay. Nothing. And nothing will destroy a relationship quicker than justified judgment. It destroys goodwill. You bring a flavor of superiority, because judgment is superiority, right? Which is a flavor of arrogance. You're incapable of listening, because as soon as you hear something you don't agree with, you just switch off. A lot of people think that listening is about whether you agree or disagree. Agreeing or not agreeing has nothing to do with listening. Okay? Humility, your ability to try something on, your ability to step out of your reality and understand the importance of knowing somebody else's and the emotional intelligence to do that. Yeah, that's a really important part of listening. But most of us listen from a place of, do I agree or not? And if I don't agree, not listening. So, when you're coming from that judgmental space, and I've seen this a lot, this is what happens. We destroy goodwill. We position ourselves as higher than, and there's no hierarchy here. Okay. Hierarchy is a myth. There is no hierarchy. No one is better than anybody else. No one knows more than anybody else. No one is wiser than anybody else. Now, the only difference is that there are some people, right, whose minds are quieter than others. Doesn't make them better, but it does mean that they are open and available to hearing and seeing things that people with a busy, closed mind cannot and do not. So, what we've got to see is there's no hierarchy. Whether you're a brain surgeon or someone who's at home looking after children, whether you're a plumber, whether you are a best-selling author, whether you're the Queen of England, it doesn't matter. We're all exactly the same. Now, the more people see the sameness, the less insecure we are, right? The more we're able to stand in our own truth, the less we feel that we've got to prove or hide anything, the more okay we are with differences. We show up with that humility. Hey, I've got something to learn here, versus I'm going to prove to everybody that I know it. Okay. We feel we are able to live our life with conviction, and we're a lot more connected. Now, when you come from judgment, which is just fear, okay, you lose access to all of that stuff. You lose access to all of it. You get to be right, okay? You get to be right. But the price you pay for that, believe me, when people realize the price that they are paying, it is just not worth it. It's not worth it. I'll take goodwill, connection, humility, playfulness, curiosity, openness over being right every single day of the week. And when I come from the knowing that there is absolutely no justification for judgment, that helps me get over myself. When I feel that coming on, when I feel my intellectual mind coming in and deciding that I know better, or my opinion is better, or my reality is better, or that someone hasn't done something the way I would do it, right? Be careful of those thoughts. Well, I would never have done that. Judgment. Yeah, but how dare they do that? I'm a good person because I would never say that to someone. Judgment. Just notice how insidious it is and how easily it shows up in your life. The minute you do that, you are disconnected. Remember, our essence is love. That's who we are. That's the most important thing. That's all that matters. It doesn't make you weak, by the way. Right? Choosing love takes courage. This is why love is the most powerful force on the earth. Everybody knows this. When you choose love, life changes. Doesn't mean you always get what you want, but that's not what life's all about, right? Life is not all about getting what you want. That's not it. You know, this is about, it's not, and I want to make a point here as well. When it comes to life and how you move through life, it's not about what happens to you. It's about how you meet your experience, right? It's about how you meet your experience. Now, if you're meeting your experience with judgment, okay, if you're meeting your experience with judgment, you've got to understand you are going to get more experiences coming your way until you choose something else. You're going to get more experiences that trigger that, is what I'm trying to say, until you choose something else. So, we can get really worn down by our experiences because we look out around us and we've got this coming at us and that coming at us and this person doing this and that job not going our way. And maybe we get to a certain time in life and think, gee, I thought I would have more money by now, or I thought this would have happened by now, or this would have happened. And we get worn down by that stuff, right? And we think that we feel worn down because of the things that are happening. That's just not how it works. And that misunderstanding keeps more people stuck, keeps more people trapped, keeps more people feeling hopeless and helpless, keeps more people in a state of judgment and fear than anything else. When you learn that it's all about how you meet your experience and you have a lot more power over that than you can ever possibly imagine, right? We start choosing love over fear. We start seeing that judgment is a waste of time. And it actually, there's so much more on offer than that. We start to see the power of connection, of creating goodwill, of having humility and grace and laughter and lightness. I'm telling you, this is what people want. I've been doing this for a long time, and it doesn't matter who I work with. This is what people are after. People just want to feel good. They want to feel calm, connected, lighthearted. They want peace of mind. This is what people want. Okay, this is what people want. This is what people are looking for. There is a shared humanity amongst all of us. There is a sameness. This is what we need to be being taught. This is what we need to see. Okay, when we see the sameness, we breathe a sigh of relief. We go, oh, I'm just like you. You're just like me. Yes. We stop going down that pathway of division and fear and judgment, which weakens us and weakens the whole. We're only ever as strong as the whole, guys. And each one of you has a role to play in that. If more people chose connection, if more people knew how to get over themselves, if people weren't trying to hide and feel like they had something to prove, if they're able just to show up the way they really want to, with a calm, clear mind, with clarity and conviction, rather than choosing judgment, if they could see when they were choosing judgment and realizing that there was something else on offer, could you imagine how different everything would be? Now, each and every person who learns this, and these are the stuff that I teach, the difference in the quality of their lives and, of course, their relationships is extraordinary and profound. Why? Because love is who we all are. It's what's underneath all the contaminated thinking that gets people stuck. It's what everybody's looking for. It's what everybody wants. And so, when you tap into that, it's interesting. I've working with a couple this week, and one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about judgment today is because they have been seeing, they've been through about 3 or 4 counselors. And when they came to see me, they were in a very low ebb and like hanging in by their fingernails. And they've got a couple of children. So that's one of the reasons why they were hanging in there. And I started chatting to, I always work with people separately in the beginning. I never put 2 people in a room who are on a low level of emotional intelligence or on a Zoom call with me and ask them to do something that requires a high level of emotional intelligence. Like, that makes no sense. So I always work with people separately until I help them get into a higher level of emotional intelligence and where they're able to see things differently. And then I may bring them together. But I'm working with them separately, and I'd had a couple of chats with one, and I finally got a chat to have a chat with the other party this week. And I was chatting with the person I'd spoken to first yesterday, and I said, I don't mean to diminish what's going on here. But I'm going to say to you right now, I know it looks like you have nothing in common and that your relationship's a complete mess and it's too hard and you're never going to get there. And I really want you to know I'm not trying to diminish any of that. But here's what I can see so far. All that's going on here is that you two take each other too personally. And because of that, goodwill has gone down. If you took each other less personally, none of these things that you're experiencing would happen. And in fact, they would go away really, really quickly. It's not that you're too different. And a lot of the things that you think are happening are not happening. It's just that they look like that through the lens of someone who's taking something really personally and who's feeling really hurt and fearful and is in a judgmental frame of mind. You two are just in an extremely judgmental frame of mind with each other. And once this shifts, which it will, because this is going to stop making sense to you in a minute, being so judgmental, you're going to create goodwill like that. And you're going to look at each other and go, how the heck did we end up here? I said, in my mind, all that needs to happen here are a couple of minor, and I mean it, minor tweaks to get you guys back on track. And this person looked at me last night and said, really? I went, yeah, I'm being completely honest with you. It's just a couple of minor tweaks. And again, I don't mean to diminish what has just been happening, but I said the two of you are choosing judgment, okay? And whilst ever you choose judgment with each other, this will never change. But the minute you start choosing something else, and I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to teach you something that will make judgment look really, really like make no sense. You guys are going to connect just like this. You're going to know how to hold space. You're going to know how to truly listen. You're going to know how to bring a feeling where the other person feels super, super important. That's all you need to do. And all this other stuff is going to be able to it's just going to seem really unimportant. See, I see this all the time. People are choosing judgment and they don't realize what else is on offer. Now, let's face it. This is why public speaking is considered, a fear worse than death, because nobody likes to be judged, right? No one does. Nobody thrives in that environment. Nobody wants to be judged. Yet this is what people do. We revert to judgment because we're in self-protection mode and we get stuck there. And analyzing all of your problems is not going to change that. Because the problem when you analyze all of your problems is it becomes reality versus reality. People get caught up in the hierarchy. People get caught up in this saying. Sound familiar? Oh, but I wouldn't have done it that way. I would never do that to someone. Well, at least I don't do X. They do Y. I mean, I do a little bit, but at least I would never do Y. I mean, I do X, but I would never do Y. Hear it? Judgment, 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 judgment. I'm better, I'm better, I'm better, I'm better. And this is the flavor that people bring to things. And then they wonder why they feel so far apart from each other. It's like, in order to choose something else, and this is why I talk about humility, okay? You have to be humble enough to look inside yourself and recognize what you're bringing to the table. Instead of out here projecting and blaming, which is what people do. And it's not your fault if you're doing that. I used to do it too, and I'd done every personal development course on the planet, and I was still doing it. In fact, it was worse because I felt justified because I'd worked on myself, right? So, if you're doing that, it's not your fault. It's just what happens. When you know where to look, when you know what to look for, and you realize the flavor that you're bringing and what you're doing and the price that you're paying, that stops making sense. It just stops making sense. Now, once something stops making sense, changing is easy, right? The hardest way to create change is when something makes sense. So, for example, for me, I get really, really angry. I get judgmental of my husband. I'd look at the reasons why it made complete sense to me, and then I would just go there. The great thing is now none of those things make sense to me. And so choosing judgment simply makes no sense because all I want to do with my husband and my children and the people in my life, right, is to create goodwill and connection. That's the only thing I care about, literally. I don't feel the need to prove myself. I've got nothing to hide. I'm an imperfect human. So what? Aren't we all? Right? I'm not afraid of my flaws. As I joke around with my husband now, my RBF, my resting bitch face, which can be out of control sometimes, is a point of laughter and lightness between us, whereas I used to be super, super, super embarrassed by it and therefore defensive of it. Now I just find it hilarious. I hold myself lightly. This is what's available to you all. But when we don't hold ourselves lightly, when we are feeling like we have something to hide, when we feel triggered, okay, that just permeates out everywhere. And then people resort to fear and judgment and they project it onto each other, okay? And then you destroy goodwill. People stop listening. There's no connection. People look at each other and go, I don't like you very much. I don't want to hang out with you anymore. And I understand because it doesn't feel good, right? We will always go where it feels good. If it doesn't feel good with the people that you care about, you'll go where it does. You'll spend more time at work, or you'll spend more time with your kids, or you'll spend more time with your friends, or you'll spend more time at the gym, or you'll spend more time watching television in the other room because it feels good. Okay? We naturally and innocently get drawn to what feels good. It's just what happens. Very human. Jessie. Hi, Jessie. Just paused your podcast. Oh, okay. Thanks for listening to my podcast. I actually have about 4 episodes of my podcast that I'm in the middle of editing. They are coming. It's just finding the time. Just pause your podcast to listen to this, trying to drum it all in until it sticks. I had it and I'm back struggling to remember what to change my thoughts to. Okay, remember this. You cannot change your thoughts. So stop doing that, honey. That's not going to work. It's not going to help you. Okay? You don't need to change your thoughts. But you do need to understand the way thought works, and you do need to understand the difference between fresh thinking and or healthy thinking and unhealthy thinking. You don't need to change your thoughts. That just puts you in resistance to your experience, which makes you think more. Okay? And when we think more, we don't feel so good. Beck, hello, darling. I'm shocking at judging myself and get caught up in what others think of me. Right. Okay. I know you're not the only person. All right. This is a very, very common thing, very human for people to do this. Okay. Very, very human. And we can get very stuck there. And, when we do, we're a long way from, well, it looks like we're a long way from home. Okay. So, when you realize that there is something else on offer, okay, and you realize just how good it feels. And I don't mean happy and excited and positive. I mean calm, connected, grounded, expansive, curious, neutral, present. These are the things people are looking for, okay? Just to know that is on offer for you, even if you are in a really challenging, difficult situation. I really want you to know that is on offer. This is what we are looking for. Truly, it is what we're looking for. It is what our soul is looking for. It is what we know is available to us. We just get caught up and distracted in a whole lot of stuff that is completely unnecessary and takes us away from that. Hi, Andrew. Hello. Nice to see you. Just logged in. You'll save and listen tonight. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be finishing up soon, and this will be available for you to listen to back live. Probably, I think it's normally within about 5 minutes of me finishing the live. So I do have a question here that I'm going to answer before I finish up. And if anyone else has a question, or if this is making sense, feel free to comment below. I'd love to know what you think. And if you've just tuned in, again, feel free to say hi. I'd love to know who's out there. Okay, so I'm going to, whilst you're doing that, anybody wants to say hi, love it if you do. I'm going to read out this question that I've got here. Hi, Fiona. My question is about friendship. I have a friend in another town, and every time we see each other, it's always in her hometown. For 12 years, she's never been to visit me. Every time I ask her to come, she can't, so I end up visiting her and her boyfriend. One time she sent me an email and ended our friendship because she said I never took her advice in love and relationships. Okay. After a couple of years, she wrote me a new email and apologized, and that she said she should have been there for me when I made bad decisions. We've become friends again, and I've seen her 3 times in 6 years, all in her hometown. Long story short, my friend says no to every invitation to come here because of other things. If she's driving by my town to visit another town, she has asked if she and her husband can come by, but I've always been at work. I feel like I just want the friendship to slowly die. by itself. Can you speak a little bit about friendship that slowly dies? Okay. Well, I guess there's a couple of things here, and again, this relates back to what I've just been talking about, whether it's whether we're looking at something through the lens of judgment or understanding. Okay, and there's a very, 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 very big difference between looking at something through the lens of judgment versus looking at something through the lens of understanding. Okay, so I want you I'm going to help you see where the judgment is in what's been said here. And again, this is not me having a go at anyone or whatever. I'm just trying to show you something, point something out. So there's an absolute innocence here, and there is an innocence in us all. Truly, you must know that to be true about us humans. Okay, there's an innocence in us all. So there's an innocence here. Okay, but there is also judgment. So here's where the judgment is. My friends in another town, you can hear it. I make all the effort, and I don't feel like they make enough effort. That's what's being said here, right? I feel like I feel like I'm making all the effort, and they're not making enough effort. That's okay. That's absolutely a big part of this. So her flavor is this person never makes enough effort. And this is why, and it's so interesting because you'll see here, they're looking for all the reasons to prove why that is. So, they're looking at, she did this to me. She ended our friendship because of this. She's also done this. She's also done that. So you can see where innocently the flavor of judgment, they're looking for the evidence to support it. Okay. And the interesting thing is as well is that they've swept over this bit at the last bit, which I think is really interesting. If she is driving by my town to visit, she asks if she and her husband can come by. So she has asked, but I've always been at work. See how that's just been swept under the rug. It's been mentioned, but not really noticed, not really something that has had much of an impact on them because they're looking at everything through their eyes of judgment. Okay. And the judgment is, I make more of an effort. If they were really good friends of mine, they would have done this, they would have done that because I do it this way. See, I just want you to see how innocent it is and how insidious it is and what it and the impact that it has. All right. This is just, one of those things that this person can't see that they're bringing to the table. So in their mind, I make too much of an effort. It's not worth it. I'm just going to let the friendship die out because I can't be bothered because they don't try hard enough. Okay. You can hear it. And that's fine. Like I'm not telling you what to do, but I want you to see the picture here. So often friendships that slowly die happen because people reach a conclusion about the other person. And again, I appreciate that that relationships can finish on their own. They end and people go on and do other things and that relationship's just reached its end point, right? And I totally get that, and that happens as well. Okay, so I'm not saying there's no shoulds here. There's nothing is. I'm not telling anyone what they should or shouldn't be doing, but it's just really interesting because you can see, okay, that this person truly believes that the other person hasn't tried hard enough. Now, here's the thing. That may or may not be true. But when you believe that someone isn't trying hard enough, this is what you lose. You lose the capacity to be curious. You lose the capacity to listen. You lose the opportunity to look at something with fresh eyes because you just come back to your judgment and what you already know and your assumptions. Now, I see people making this mistake all the time. Now, if I had someone, right, if something doesn't make sense to me in any way, shape, or form, I know never to assume. I'm going to get curious and ask, well, what is it that has this person not visit me? What's going on? And it could be the most simplest thing, honestly, something that you couldn't even imagine, but we don't ask the question. We don't get curious enough because a judgmental mind gets very shut down and focused on the me. All right. A curious and open mind is focused on the we. Okay. It's focused on the we. It's looking out here going, I wonder about this. I wonder about that. A judgmental closed mind is focused on the me, and you can hear it here. And again, this is not a criticism of the beautiful soul that sent this in, who I know who you are, and I think you're a divine person, human being, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, so this is not me having a criticism of you. This is just me explaining something. All right, because we all do it. I do it too. But when you can't see something, this is what we end up doing, and we recreate the same thing over and over and over and over again. All right, so this is what you are seeing here. Through the flavor of judgment, it is very difficult for anything else to change. And it looks like the only thing we can do is let the relationship slowly die down or fade away. All right. Now, like I said, some relationships, that's generally what happens, but often it's because we're in that frame of mind. And I see this in relationships all the time. People get stuck, and they're stuck in a cycle, an endless cycle of judgment. And so it looks like the easiest thing to do is walk away. Or the only thing to do is walk away, right? I see so many relationships, and it's not just intimate ones, it's friendships like this one, siblings, families, all sorts of things break down because people get stuck, they can't see a way forward, and it looks like the best thing they can do is just walk away and don't realize what else is on offer. Renata, hi Fiona, this is a really helpful reminder for me today, trying to remain calm and open-minded and not judge or jump to conclusions, as my new partner yesterday got upset about something I am unclear about, and today he's keeping to himself and advised me he needs some time to think, so he'll have a day to himself when we had plans to spend the day together. Okay, so let him have his space, honey. Let him go do what he needs to do, right? Wait for him to get some fresh thinking. All is well, okay? And come back to this when you're calmer and he's calmer, okay? Very important. Let him go do that. Let him go have his space, and trust that you will, that something else will show up around this. Always does. Always does. Okay? Always does. Okay, everybody, I have to fly because I have a client session at 1 o'clock, but I hope this has been helpful. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can send them to hello@fionalukis.com.au. And if anyone wants to have a deeper understanding of what I'm teaching, you can learn all about this via my program, Relatable, because in Relatable is my 8-week online program where I teach this understanding step by step, where I answer questions on live calls, and where you can get some really clear and helpful ways of seeing things completely differently. Relationships, how you're showing up in any kind of relationship that you can ever possibly imagine, where you can access that peace of mind, that sense of calm, where you can feel more expansive, more tuned into insight, fresh thinking, and a whole different way of showing up, the way you get to show up in life the way you've always wanted to. Okay, everybody, I hope this has been helpful. Thanks so much for listening. See you all next week. Ciao.